Hello there. Well, regarding the proposed mandatory eyesight testing for drivers aged 70 and over when they renew their licences, things have suddenly started moving apace. What's happening? Stay tuned and I'll tell you. Welcome to Grey Matters. Hello and welcome to Grey Matters, the channel that promotes the fact that the older generation still matters and still has relevance, and which looks at issues that matter to the older generation. Now, before we get into the detail, let me address something head on. There are always a few people, usually online, usually anonymous, who say things like, oh, you older drivers just don't want to take an eyesight test, or you're all whinging because you know you'll fail. So let me be absolutely clear. This channel, and probably a vast majority of our nearly 60,000 subscribers, do not have a problem with eyesight testing if the evidence shows that it's necessary. That would be fair. If it improves safety, well, that would be fair enough too. And if it's proportionate, that also would be fair enough. But, and this is the key point, the evidence I've seen so far does not support the proposal, and that's why we're talking about it. So why the sudden urgency? Well, the reason for this flurry of activity at Grey Matters Towers is that we've just discovered the closing date for the consultation is only a few days away, on the 11th of May. That's right, just days away. So if we're going to do something about it, if we're going to try and influence the consultation in any meaningful way, and if we're going to try and make sure that we older drivers are treated fairly, we need to act now. So what has been happening behind the scenes at this end? Why all this flurry of activity? Well, as you know, over the past few months we've submitted freedom of information requests, we've gathered data, we've spoken to experts, and we've dug into the consultation documents. And I've now pulled all of that together into a detailed letter. A letter that has gone out already by email in 5 very important directions. Let me tell you who they are. First is the political lead, Lillian Greenwood MP, who is overseeing the consultation as a whole. Secondly is Dr. Claire Howard. She is chair of the hugely influential medical advisory panel on vision. Dr. Lauren Hepworth, who is another key member of the panel. And the official lead, which is the Department of Transport consultation team. Now, these are the people who shape the evidence, who shape the recommendations, and ultimately shape the policy. And I also wrote to my own MP because MPs can ask questions. So here's where things get interesting. The title of the video asks, what just happened? Well, I'll tell you. Within minutes, I mean literally minutes, of sending my email to Dr. Howard, she replied. And her reply was extremely encouraging. She said that the letter I'd sent had raised some very interesting points, and she strongly urged me to copy those points into the consultation response. She told me that Lillian Greenwood will be collating all those responses, and she said she'd make sure that my points were raised with her in her meetings with her. Now that is fantastic news. Why? Well, it tells us something very important. It tells us that there are some open minds involved in this consultation. It tells us that this is not a done deal. And it tells us that, well, evidence still matters. And I think it also tells us that your voice can still influence the outcome. And that is exactly why we need to act now. I found the online consultation form that was mentioned, and I sent in my comments, and this is also where you can submit your own responses, and I'll put a link in the description. It's straightforward, it doesn't take long, and it allows you to speak directly into the consultation process. So please genuinely give some serious thought to submitting something. Even a short response helps, even a few lines help. They all count. One subscriber, and I'm sorry I can't remember your name, fella, suggested that we start a lobby group. Well, I think this is the next best thing. This is your chance to be heard. You don't need to write an essay, you don't need to be an expert, You don't need to know the statistics off by heart. But here are the core points that you can raise. And you may remember these from the last video. Hampshire Police 51% statistic is based on tiny numbers, just 244 drivers over 7 years. Yet you present that to a committee, say 51% of drivers checked failed the eyesight test, and then it turns out to be 244 drivers over 7 years. It's not that frightening, is it? The Department for Transport Freedom of Information Request data shows defective eyesight accounts for only 67 cases out of the nearly 30,000 KSI casualties. That's 0.23%. Uncorrected defective vision doesn't appear anywhere in the national KSI contributory factor tables. We did a video about that some time ago, and if you remember, the biggest contributory factor for older people was that they'd failed to look properly, and that was the same for younger people as well. And Dave made really interesting reading. If you can find that video, if I'll try and leave a link to it, it's worth looking at that again. Now, the current DVLA Specsavers arrangement is already causing access problems, especially for rural drivers, and if eyesight testing is to be fair, it should apply to all drivers at licence renewal, not just those over 70. Now, you can use any of those points, use all of them, use your own words, and if it helps, don't forget that if you click to see the transcript of this video, you could scroll down to where those points are and just copy and paste them straight from there. Now, next, please write to your local MP, even if you don't support him or her, because MPs can raise questions, they can challenge evidence, and they can ask the Department for Transport to justify its position. And believe it or not, but MPs listen to constituents. They have to. It's just a shame that not all of them subscribe to that high standard. I will leave a link to a template letter that you can download, copy and paste into an email to your MP. There are also several professional bodies already engaged in the consultation. The British and Irish Orthoptic Society, preparing a formal evidence-based response. There's the Association of Optometrists. Now, they are long-standing advocates for stronger eyesight rules. And the College of Optometrists, who are also active in policy discussions. Now, they're not decision makers, but they can influence the evidence that ministers see. So I'm considering sending the letter to them too, but I'm weighing up whether it's wise to show our hand to organisations that appear to be already in favour of tighter rules. I'll have to do a little bit more digging before deciding. So here's the bottom line. The consultation closes on the 11th of May, so we have a very small window, but we do also have a real opportunity. We've been listened to, we've been acknowledged, and we've been encouraged to contribute. So let's do it, right? Let's make sure that we older drivers are treated fairly. Let's make sure that the policy is based on evidence, not assumptions, and just age, for example. And let's make sure that our voices are heard. Now, the links you need are in the description. If we leave it too late, we'll miss the deadline, and the Department for Transport will assume, if they hear nothing, that we're all perfectly happy with their proposals. And I don't know about you, but I'd rather not let silence be interpreted as enthusiasm. So please take a few minutes to respond. It genuinely could make a difference. Let us know what you think of all this. Do let us know in the comments. Don't forget also to subscribe if you haven't already for more content. Hype as well, don't forget. Yes, if you're on a mobile device, hit that hype button in the first 7 days that the video's online, and it will put us out in front of a lot more people. So that's where we are for now. Do please help us out with this. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for caring, and thank you for being part of Grey Matters. And in the meantime, until the next time, it's bye for now.